Welcome to Dynamics of Life Special Edition. My name is Bernie Le Battie, and right now we're sharing the story on Vanessa Goosen, her life story in a Thai jail for 16 and a half years. Vanessa, 16 and a half years, that was what you received spent eventually.
Yes.
But you received a death sentence which was commuted to life.
Yes.
You are now in jail, having given birth, and you started living out your sentence. Tell us about the emotional conditions in this jail.
The emotional conditions was very difficult. I had a lot of anger because being in the prison for something that you had no knowledge of, that's very difficult to accept. And the different lifestyle, the culture, just everything in prison was very difficult, and it kind of had an emotional strain. But the anger and the bitterness I had was like towards my boyfriend and his friend, because I really didn't understand actually what really happened. So I had a lot of bitterness and then anger. I was upset with myself when I found out about my grandfather passed away when he heard the news, and my mother was tried to commit suicide. I really was very upset with myself.
Did you blame God?
I was angry and upset, and yes, I did. Like, why did I end up there? What was the reason? And
couldn't God protect you? Couldn't He intervene for you?
Yes. And so even like the inmates in the prison was trying to come close to me. It was very difficult for them because I was an angry person. And when I submitted my Royal King's Pardon application. This is an application where mine was based on humanitarian grounds. So I had all these letters that I got from very influential people, and I was very positive about this pardon. So when I was 5 years in prison, I submitted this Royal King's Pardon application that cost a lot of money, which I did not have. I did not possess at that time, but one lady who was an air hostess that I did not know from anywhere from Cape Town paid for my Royal King's Pardon application, and that took 3 years before I received an answer. And when I received a reply, they told me it was rejected, so I was already 8 years in prison. And when they told me it was rejected, it's like I completely switched off. You know, like a computer was unplugged. That is what happened to me. Then I had inverted anger, and I started punishing myself by doing aerobics and not sleeping enough, and trying just to punish myself.
And that's when you obviously went into a deep depression.
Yes,
I can imagine
yes.
that you would.
And I wasn't actually aware that I was falling into a deep depression, and because of what was happening with me, because of the symptoms. I couldn't sleep, I had heart palpitations, sweats, and when I went to the hospital, they told me nothing wrong with me, until one day when I collapsed and I ended up in the hospital.
So that was the beginning or the center of your depression. But
yes.
We're not finished yet. We will continue. For now we're finished, but we'll... Welcome back to Dynamics of Life, and we're still busy with the discussion. Please tell me, you were in depression right now.
Yes.
How did you who lifted you out, and how were you lifted out of this?
I suffered depression for 4 years, and it was really difficult because when the doctor told me that I'm falling into a deep depression and I have panic attacks and anxiety attacks, I had no idea how to deal with it. And I had no medication, and I had nobody be able to help me through this process. So I actually ended up in hospital. I was hospitalized. I was put on drip because I was underweight. And then I actually completely gave up hope. And then when this one lady, she walked in, she touched my feet. My feet were ice cold because I actually gave up. And she said to me, Vanessa, you know what? You are a very selfish person. You only think about yourself. You don't think about your daughter that's waiting for you at home. And you know, she started praying for me. And she rebuked the spirit of death. And she prayed life over me. And you know, I could feel the difference. That life started coming in me.
Okay.
And then I made a choice that I am not going to die, but I'm going to live. And I made a choice that I'm going to do everything I can to survive the situation. And when I did that, everything started to change.
So when she spoke life, she brought life.
Yes.
What happened then?
Then everything just started changing. Not my physical condition, because I was still suffering. I still felt the pain. I was still going through that.
Anger? Or was that about?
No, that was when she prayed for me, when I actually I went to ask God to forgive me for doubt, because I doubted God. That is why I fell into that depression. I had a lot of anger, I had a lot of bitterness, and that destroys a person. And I had to make a choice, and I had to ask God to help me to forgive, and I asked God to help me to love.
And that was the turning point for your health?
Yes.
Your depression?
Yes.
And it brought you closer to the Lord?
Yes.
We've got to go. We're running out of time again, but we're not finished yet. So beloveds, just stay tuned.